Hello and welcome to Zelda Speedruns. Hope y'all are having a lovely day, evening, afternoon, morning, whatever time zone it is for you. It's time for more OoT Randomizer qualifiers. It is time for Qualifier 3 of this tournament season, and I'm Tobias. With me on commentary today is Bones73. Bones, how are you today?
I am doing wonderful, enjoying the cool weather for a change. But looking forward to another race. I think last time we looked, we had 75 people entering this race. So
Yep.
should see a bit of variety.
Yeah. So bunch of people in the race, all kinds of players from definitely names that have been in the community for a long time, to people that I at least have not seen play before, but that only shows how wide a net this tournament really casts. So I am very pleased with that.
It's been an interesting start, and well, I mean, I don't know how much we want to spoiler last race, but I feel like it's been a few days. Like, we've had some surprising finishes for newer racers that I don't want to say outpunched their weight class, but definitely did better than expected. So it's nice seeing some of the newer, less experienced runners jumping into this and doing fairly well.
Yeah, so let's see. The runners on screen today are Mr. Carp, Zephyr, Weighty Words, and Ethereum. Ethereum is also our audio source today, so let's see. Okay. In the race room, the race has just started. Our stream has a slight delay for technical reasons, so you will see the runners start in about 20 seconds now. Ethereum is a race mod, part of the team that shepherds the OoT randomizer rule set and community rules and racing rules. And then Mr. Carp, Zephyr, and Weighty Words, also people in just about the same, as you said, weight class as Nath. And we're starting as an adult, so let's see straight away what we got to work with. Forest, Shadow, Deku, DC, and Water Temple. Not the worst dungeon layout, honestly. Yes, you have Forest and Shadow that immediately give you, Outside Ganon's Castle is foolish, thanks game. Ice Cavern is, oh gosh, that was too quick for me.
We'll see it again here. Kokiri
Yeah.
Forest, Forest Temple, OGC. All right. And Isis Bolero from the chat.
Isis Bolero, okay. Cool.
And ZL right off the bat for Requiem. That's convenient.
Exactly. And Zephyr also showing us the hint right near Desert Colossus. Getting another chance to look at that from Ethereum's side here.
Well, and if you are new to Season 8, one of the big changes is the bridge requirements, which we have vanilla, meaning Shadow Medallion, Spirit Medallion, and Light Arrows. So DC and Water are our two big dungeons, I'll call them, meaning they are going to be prioritized first in our hint distribution, which, I mean, I consider myself a newer runner. I've played a few of these seeds. The amount of information that you can get when you get a non-bridge path hint can be incredibly valuable if it's the right hint.
Oh, absolutely. The hints are definitely part and parcel of what makes the randomizer games such a great puzzle. Is just that you have basically just some information that the randomizer gives you to guide you about where you need to go, but it's never going to be the full picture. So there's always some guessing and some also reading the logic of the game involved here. So
what was on top of Windmill? Was that lights?
No, just a huge ruby.
Okay. I just saw yellow and got excited for a second. Mr. Carp, farming rupees. Team Never Buy a Shield is panicking right now.
Arctic Kuma in chat saying that assuming the seed has logic, yes, that's generally the mode we play in terms in the randomizer tournaments. 40 spiders is sorry?
30 is a hook shot. Let's go.
Oh boy, and GTG's on the path to Queen Goma. I think we had seen that hint on Weighty Words' screen before, but Notherian confirming it for us. So that's our first path in. That tells us we will find something that is helpful with getting to Queen Goma or beating her in Gerudo Training Grounds. So 30 hookshot, 40 and 50 are dead.
That is going to be fun if that is our first logical hook. But it does take a hint with water being one of our bridge dungeons. Like, we know we're not going to get a CAC hint because they can't be hinted something like that. So only 2 items required to beat water now. Well, 2 hinted items, I should say.
This is correct.
Early river play by Zephyr is interesting. I did not see what the... if he got the top.
Yeah. I mean, the early river players ate good in Qual 2, so if you don't do that, you kind of got burned by it at that point. So I think Zeph is also just guarding a bit, and Skullmask is dead. Zeph is just guarding a bit against a repeat of that scenario, or against basically other runners feeling like they need to go upriver with that. And OOT is Song of Time.
Vanilla.
Vanilla, but that means you're going to have some locations in the game that you will not be able to get to without beating all dungeons as well.
All right, I'm gonna curse this seed early on. Can we please have K-Sword and Toilet so OOT is absolutely required all dungeons? Because that would be absolutely gross.
I am always of the opinion that I would like our runners to actually have fun with the seeds that we generate. So how about we don't and pretend we did instead?
Actually, is Toilet hinted in these settings? Is it a sometimes?
It's a sometimes, yeah.
Okay. Who hurt me? Mido has hurt me enough. But, I mean, we have that GTG early on. Like, we know that Song of Time could be necessary.
God damn it, I made a typo in that chatbot command. Professional!
It's Jada Jet. It's Joan Jet. Actually, now that I think about it, OOT could be needed for Water Temple too. That's gross.
Oh, absolutely. If your Water Temple boss key is locked behind Darkling, for example, that's going to be your ticket that requires you to do all stone dungeons, basically. So.
And I think chat found the running joke for the rest of this.
Oh, well, thanks, chat. That is certainly kind of you.
Graveyard has just been empty so far.
Well, and we get Sun Song. Epona's song is great quality of life, though. It unlocks 2 checks. It gets you. I mean, you require it's required, hard required for the horseback archery in Gerudo Training Ground. In Gerudo Fortress, but also it's just great to get around Hyrule Field easily. We also, with that, have access to the Gerudo area, which is, you might remember, path to Queen Goma. So, by the way, someone in chat earlier asked, what is required for Deku in Ocarina of Time Randomizer? Logically required are a Kokiri sword and a slingshot. as well as a Kokiri shield, but you start with one of those, and you can always buy another one for 40 rupees. So that doesn't have any logical implications. The slingshot you can skip entirely. B1 skip is basically one of the first tricks you're going to have to learn if you want to play OTR competitively. B1 as in basement level 1 in Deku Tree, which is basically a... Oh boy.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, let's see.
There we go. Are we back?
Looks like I can hear you again. Here's hoping that Discord keeps behaving. Okay, so 30 skulls, confirmed a hook shot. All right, cool. So what I was going to say, the basement level 1 in Deku, basically the entire area of the basement you have to go through when you turn left after falling down the spider web is entirely optional with a few precise hops and skips and jumps. And so that is generally one of the first tricks you're going to want to learn if you play OTR competitively, because that just opens up beating Queen Goma without finding a slingshot.
And
which you need for very little else.
To answer your question, Tech, no. Realistically, the only thing Slingshot could be needed for once you learn B1 skip is Target in the Woods, in Lost Woods. And if you don't have a Boomerang or Bomb Shoes, could be Shadow or Child Spirit implications. But realistically, Slingshot tends to be one of those items that is more of like, okay, I got one, rather than like, yes. You know, if you get an early hookshot, early bomb bag, you're excited to get that because you know it opens up a lot of things. If you get an early slingshot, like it doesn't really open a whole lot for you outside of, you know, not orphaning Target in the Woods if you find it before you go Child 1.
Exactly. The slingshot does not unlock Child Shooting Gallery, the shooting gallery in the market. As you can see, Natherian Do just here is open from the very beginning. He's demonstrating that very well for us right now. The shooting gallery is not locked by the slingshot because it is not locked by that in the original game. By the way, it gives us an adult wallet. It's the developers of the game knew you could get to Kakariko within like the bounds that the game set for you. As an adult without having a bow, so there's a check for you having a bow in your inventory before you can actually get the prize of the shooting gallery there. But in Hyrule Castle's market, Dodongo's Cavern is on the path to King Dodongo. Cool. So there's a strength upgrade out there somewhere or multiple of them that we need to get because Dodongo's Cavern is going to have your only logically accessible bomb bag. Why do I say that with so much conviction?
You could have Hammer to get through the first few, but yeah.
That's also true. There could be Hammer is an option as well. Either way, you have your only logically accessible bomb bag with this hint is guaranteed to be in Dodongo's Cavern because the bomb bag is basically the only thing logically required for you to beat Dodongo's Cavern. If you have a bomb bag, you don't need strength. You only need strength in a vanilla game because you need that to get in the door, being able to uproot the bomb flowers and all that. Not a problem if you have a bomb bag.
And now here's an interesting side of things. Wadey finds storms, and you already have ZL. I don't know if Wadey has that KD, or, you know, Dodongo's Cavern to KD, but do you go bottom of the well early here?
Sure.
Oh, there's a strength.
There's a strength upgrade. Hello, never mind then. So going well early without bombs is a calculated risk because you can peak both of those bombable checks. So if you go there, you will have enough information to know about. You will have enough information to know whether or not you ever need to come back. With the ZL checks, so Dead Hand and the chest underwater and so on, some of these you can't see without CL. So there's a bit of guesswork involved. So I would say going well with the bombs here is worth it.
And
Zora diving game is dead. Cool.
While you were talking, I don't know if you saw, Zephyr got a scale on top of Dodongo's Cavern. Just incredibly useful for
child routing, incredibly helpful. Yeah. So this scale allows you access to Zora's River from the Lost Woods, and it also allows you access to Lake Hylia from Zora's domain, which is really, really a big routing advantage. There's no sign of Serenade so far, so that'll get you into a lot of places as child, actually. That'll make routing a lot more convenient.
Wadey did pick up the strength and then did a few checks and then realized Kokiri Forest was foolish and abandoned going to check the vanilla Kokiri Sword check. Rightfully so.
This is true, though. He might still play Song of Storms here to get the hint in the grotto. Yep, that's exactly what he's doing. And also, Foolish Kokiri Forest can still have some bomb chews for you. Burning Cactus Prelude, by the way. And getting that extra hint is really helpful in early game. SFM to Bongo. Which is a good reason for why we just said getting that extra hint is powerful. Sacred Forest Meadow has 2 songs and an item. So, given that we don't have Nocturne yet, this is a good chance that Sacred Forest Meadow will have your Nocturne of Shadows. Or
can Nocturne
if
path?
Sorry?
Can Nocturne be path in these settings?
Oh, absolutely, it can.
Okay. So ZL is the only song that can't be hinted.
Zelda's Lullaby cannot be path, exactly.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it can be your Nocturne of Shadows. It can also be, if you find 2 songs that are not Nocturne there, you will know that you will want to return for the item in the Wolfos Grotto no matter what, because that could then very well just be your hover boots, for example. By the way, Mr. Carp found some bomb shoes somewhere, and I missed where, but he's taking full advantage of that by going for Hyrule Castle Ferry here.
Yeah,
on
so
Richard, okay.
On stream, Netherian was the first to find those. So Night Market paying off for once, and we know Treasure Chest Game is dead. So realistically, in Market, we have what? Bombchu Bowling and Big Pose at this point?
Just about, yeah. So...
Oh, wow.
Hi! And wow. That's definitely a nice find out of Logic. So there's Iron Boots. That is, I mean, it's not hard required to do Water Temple, but it is very useful. It's logically required to do Water Temple, this is true.
You know what I find interesting, though? And I could be mistaken. We have 30 skull hookshots. Like, yes. I think Wadey skipped the skull in Kokiri Forest, even though you have Sun Song.
I'm not sure. Okay, interesting.
But it's just like you think you'd rush 30. You don't know whether or not that's going to be your first logical hookshot.
This is also one of those cases where you're just kind of... this is the early child route, which is really, really just a very, very well practiced route for most runners. Wait, what? Horseback archery is entirely dead. Interesting.
Bummer.
So that Epona has just become, I'm not saying entirely worthless, but it is more a convenience than anything else.
It could still logically be required for Big Pose if that was something, but I mean, that's one check out of however many, so I'm not banking anything.
London Ranch to Morpha. What did we get on? What did we get on Epona's song?
Strength and Storms.
Oh yeah, well, now you're definitely going well.
Child Domain cannot hurt us today. That was a nice hint there on Nocturne.
Yep. Well, yeah, this is true. Except... Oh no, you're right. Child Domain will not hurt us. Oh hey, big chest in a grotto. For a bow.
Okay.
That's another chew well spent for Netherian here.
Oh, that's chat brought up a good point. Irons were bomb locked. Lon Ranch Strength for bomb bag in DC could be.
Oh yeah, that could very well be a path. This is, by the way, where the Triforce Blitz players in this restream, that would be Zephyr and Netherian, have some advantage because they are very used to. Oh hey, another chew well spent. Wow, they are very used to figuring out the kind of how these paths chain into each other.
That is for a stone dungeon, so we'll see if that ends up actually having any implications. It's still a great find. Like, you're never upset to see Mirror Shield. Ooh, big chest here.
Speaking of out of logic, what did Weighty Words just unearth?
BGF.
Something out of your logic, but very useful. That's a 30-minute time save. And by the way, remember Sacred Forest Meadow is path. This could very well be your path item to Bongo, namely the hover boots.
So we get Nocturne and hover boots here. That is fantastic.
What's path to Bongo in Sacred Forest Meadow? Yes.
Can we go 3 for 3? Let's find the adult song and just be. I mean, what could it be at this point? Saria's and Din's is on Dancing Dad. Let's just SFM path for everything.
Sure. Let's go with that. That'd be very hilarious. Okay. NACL Steve in chat is asking, are the seeds used in these runs on the OoT Randomizer Discord for those of us who want to async and compare times on racers? No, but the links to the race rooms themselves are in S8 race rooms, I think. That is a channel in the OoT Randomizer Discord. And if you just go in there, you can basically click through to the race rooms, and then you can download the seats from there, including the password.
All right, we'll get our first look here at Storms, or at Bottom of the Well. However, Weighty Words did not get those chews in Child Market on Richard, so we'll have to see if that gamble pays off.
Right, and as we spoke about, going well here is very justifiable. Weighty Words, nice. So that's your first big chest in the well. And he is still opening small chests as well to fish for more bomb shoes, which is almost... Oh my goodness. These runners are not even letting me finish my... Before they you know, make exactly the point I'm trying to make. Fishing for more bomb shoes, as long as you don't have a bomb bag yet, is absolutely helpful.
And I mean, you couldn't ask for a more perfect find, and we know that it's got to be 10 or more because Richard had the 5-pack, so it's going to be a fair amount for Weighty, and actually can change the order of things.
Yeah, I mean,
obviously you have.
Wadey might now go adult after this child phase and just go straight to DC, no matter whether he's found the strength yet, just because he knows he can finish the dungeon.
Well, Wadey got the strength in Lon Lon, so there's no concern
Yeah,
there.
well.
But I mean, you could even go like. Do you dip after you do DC, because you're going to do progression first, but do you start thinking about Child Spirit and using a chew for that? With Requiem being free early on, and it opens up quite a few options for you.
Absolutely. Now, interestingly, Mr. Carp seems to be he's headed for Lon Lon Ranch. It seems. So a bit of reverse child opening route here.
You have suns. Is it faster?
Well, oh hey, blue fire arrows. So that's a little mechanic change we did in this season to give more use to a new to another item. So ice arrows are basically they don't really serve any purpose in the base game or in randomizer without having blue fire arrows on. So with the blue fire arrow settings, the ice arrows will just also basically spawn blue fire. So if you have magic and a bow, they are an alternative and in logic way to make your way, for example, to Ice Cavern.
I'm Ethereum, I think, being the first of our runners on stream to do Child Skulls, which, I mean, you have Nocturne, you can kind of come back and do that whenever and get those. But with 30 being hard required, you know that we're going to see probably a rather impressive routing of skulls by these runners. It's not going to be something new for them.
Yeah, good point by Wayfaring Fox in chat as well. Yeah, they can lock Rudo's Letter because they are a means to get blue fire that does not involve Ice Cavern or inside Ganon's castle. Okay, so there's a bow for Zephyr, and I think that's all runners on screen. No, 3 out of 4 runners on stream that now have bows.
Yeah, the one who has BFAs cannot use them. Well, I mean, nobody has magic, but does not have a bow.
Yeah, well, Wadey will get there. Wadey has decided to go well first, and that is totally fine.
I mean, Paradox Letter is possible, Palm. It would be interesting. It's not often you see it.
It becomes slightly more probable with blue fire arrows because finding a bottle with blue fire does not enable you or does not count as a logical blue fire access because you can waste it.
And there's magic.
Hey, there's magic in the well. Now we can definitely use them. Okay, so just go well. Well is the answer.
Yep. Well, and I mean, from a convenience standpoint, it's not a huge time save, but it's so much faster to use BFAs versus strengths for blowing up the walls in DC. Not having to wait for the explosion to go off. Dampe Digging is dead. The gamble by Zephyr did not pay off. The bow was in the Goron City shortcut grotto in Lost Woods. Oh, big chest in the Redead Grotto.
Do we have bomb lock bombs in here?
Light arrow.
No. Vanilla Bridge is not new, Haranth. It's the original game's logic for getting you into Ganon's castle. It just means the game is a bit lazy. It doesn't check for you having the forest, fire, or water medallions. It just checks for the spirit and shadow medallion, as well as your light arrows, because that means you also have your light medallion. or rather, you're an adult, so you have your light medallion, which just means that's your vanilla bridge condition. But that is new in season 8 because it is it makes path logic slightly more convoluted. It splits the paths into two sets. And the basic rule is anything that hints towards, or anything that is hinted as a path item towards the Ganon boss key condition. So Ganon's boss key is the later of the two kind of sets of paths. Cannot also be on the path to the bridge, because then it would be hinted path to the bridge. So this is if you know how to work this this split hint logic, or split path logic as it is called, then this can give you quite a bit more information than even just your normal path hints without a split win con.
Yeah, and it like with water being one of the bridge medallions required, that Lon Morpha hint becomes incredibly powerful, which is why all of these runners, I think, are kind of pushing storms early on, because you're expecting, maybe first logical hook shot, maybe irons, something for water completion to be either strength locked or storms locked. And I forget who in chat said it, but it's possible that it's simply strength to get the bomb bag in Dodongo's cavern, which we expect to be there, and irons being on Hyrule Castle Ferry. And we're still missing our 5th path hint, but because light arrows are required for that bridge, it's quite possible that we're just going to get Cack Path to Evil's Bane as our 5th path hint. But
no. Actually, yeah, it could be, because it could just be the path to Evil's Bane can be light arrows themselves.
Correct.
You're right.
So it's and with no light arrow hint yet, and bridge being the first conditions, like, I would say there's probably a very good chance that last hint is just going to be Cack to Evil's Bane, since they were just in Redead Grotto. But we'll see. Season 8, I mean, we've had these settings for 2 months, 3 months, give or take.
This is true, yeah. We've been developing it, since I'm also one of the Season 8 tournament organizers. We've been developing them for the last few months, basically slowly, over time, changing settings in the weekly, converging towards what are now Season 8 settings. And yeah, I think we've announced them around September-ish, maybe end of August.
Yeah, it's been relatively new, and it's been interesting seeing so much conversation on the Discord regarding the path hints, because technically there are 3, I guess 4 if you want to call it. You have Evil's Bane being, just hinting light arrows or light arrow adjacent. It could be magic or no, it couldn't be magic. I take that back. Then you have your bridge conditions, and then you have all other medallions, and then last but not least, you have Path of the Hero, which is something to use the light arrows if your, magic wasn't required to beat Shadow or something. But
yeah, it's basically it can't be a bow, because you will always need a bow to make your way past the bridge condition, or past like the medallions. But there is a chance for magicless seeds. You standing magicless in Ganon's castle, and then Path of the Hero it doesn't have to. It's not guaranteed, but it can come to your rescue, giving you a hint towards magic. Not in this seed.
And we've got Mr. Carp in DC for being the first of our runners, so we should be able to, see where and how deep this bomb bag is.
Let's see. I will say vanilla. Straight up.
I was thinking French vanilla, but and I mean, we have hovers to make that. Not that jump is hard, but make it just a little bit easier.
You mean on the on the little pedestal. Oh no!
Yeah.
Wait, he just missing that jump from the pillar to the ledge here.
That's Mr. Carp. But
oh, sorry, Mr. Carp. Read the name wrong.
Oh,
there's a banana. That's not a bomb bag. Hold up. That can definitely still be on your path to King Dodongo. That might be the ultimate troll.
Oh,
that means your first logical and only logically accessible bomb bag could very well be deep in Jabu Jabu's belly.
Hold on. This is getting
could be for
really
30
gross
skulls.
into logic.
Bossage in chat suggesting that that
Exactly.
might be for reaching 30 skulls for a hookshot, and then your bomb bag's basically anywhere hookshot locked. That is rude. Oh boy.
That is exactly what my thought process went to. I don't think that's the case, because I think right now, with that scale on top of DMT being as free as it was, and it opens up a few things.
We have a bow, but we don't have a hookshot yet to get to the skulls, or so they don't exactly have much leeway on skulls yet. If we find a bottle, yeah, Alkaline Ace in chat rightly pointing out, if we find a bottle, the boomerang is probably not for skulls. But until then, this just got interesting.
Well, so Manchi, if something fishy were in the toilet, we would have to do... It would be a required all dungeons, because our OOT is on... OOT, it's vanilla.
Our time is on OOT, yeah. And that was I think... what did Weighty Words just see in Tektite Grotto? I think that was just another huge rupee.
Not that we need to do fire, potentially, but we did get a hint that Pierre is a key, and we do not have free Scarecrow on this, so we'll either see Pixel Shot, or we're maybe making a couple treks out to Lake to set that.
Okay, so there is one more chance for the seat not to...
turn it off? Or just turn it down? Okay.
Okay, Vanilla Bomb Bag, did I call it? Or is it really the boomerang? It's Vanilla Bomb Bag. Ah well, can't all be winners. That's the boring option, but it is still definitely but it is still just the randomizer having a sense of humor, putting that bomb bag right where it belongs.
I was hoping for more fun. There's our second scale. So...
Oh, hello.
We could potentially gold scale water, because every runner is going to see that other scale with it being on top of DMT.
Yeah, it's just so 90% odds for those who make their way to Gerudo Valley to not get punished by not making their way through to Hyrule Castle. Oh wait, both of those are terrible out of the way checks. So it's gonna be not terribly out of the way, but Hyrule Castle, Child Hyrule Castle is easily forgotten because often you are child early enough and without bombs that after that you're not going to have. That you're not going to be able to get it your first go around through child, and then afterwards it's really a question of, okay, cool. So apparently we have Din's Fire now. It's really a question of how much do you have? Oh god, I lost my train of thought. Can someone look up for the rated trains, please? Because apparently this train of thought has left its station.
Well, and now we're getting to the point where, because we found so much in DC, that Lon Lon Ranch to Morpha hint becomes challenging to follow. Because Strength ultimately led to Bomb Bag, it led to Dins, we had Storms, which gave us Magic, so it could just be, long or hook/long in Shadow. It could be anywhere else bomb locked. Like there's so much that opens up. It's a bit of a challenge.
There is. And there's Mr. Carp picking up yet more bomb shoes. Oh. Not mad about getting more of those. There's weighty words. Fishing. Nice.
Fish.
Kited that fish right up next to Link, and then had it bite, so that saves a lot of time actually if you don't have to fight that fish while it's swallowed your bait for like a minute or so. Arm is pointing out rightly in chat that this could very well be strength to bomb bag to iron boots as your path to Morpha. It's interesting.
Well, and Shadow being our forest medallion sort of makes sense because right now, logically, we have no way of getting into Forest Temple. I am fairly confident in saying that all of these runners can Mido skip with ease. But logic is still important, so I would assume that either Shadow, your Prelude song... well, no, we know Burning Cack is Prelude. I take that back. So our Prelude check is going to be one of the forest songs, whether it's Saria's or Minuet. Or actually, I guess we still haven't seen DMT yet, which we should see here shortly from Mr. Carp. See what that song is. Yeah. Although missing that bow shot does not feel good.
It happens. Might be annoying, but it happens. All right, here's your maze from Mr. Carp, which is a lot more visible when you don't have magic yet. That doesn't look like there's any big chests in there, so Mr. Carp is out of there. Okay, and there's strength 2 from Link to Goron.
Oh, I missed that. That is... Well, convenient for GTG, considering GTG is Path, but with Spirit being a stone, might not be that big of a deal.
We'll still probably see runners exploring that relatively soon. Obviously, the rule is, as long as you have Path dungeon, or as long as you have like required dungeons to do or path locations to do, you do path locations. Or you do required dungeons first and then path locations. But basically, GTG is just such a dense location, with it also being path. This will get routed in relatively soon.
Yep. And I mean, Hookshot being a... we'll call it a recommendation. Well, there's Minuet. A recommendation for GTG. These runners can most likely do the Rupee Room without a hookshot.
They can indeed. Hookshotless GTG is a trick, certainly, but it is pretty easily practiced, and Carp does have Goron Tunic, so no worries. He was just checking to see how far he could take it without the Tunic. Okay, so the wall has nothing.
And sadly, with no hookshot, even if Forest Temple was foolish, if I found my first hook, I would still rush Forest simply because you have, I think it's 5 or 6 skulls, relatively easy. Like, you're not going too far out of your way to collect those skulls. It's a dungeon.
How are you getting in the door, though?
Correct. That's what I was saying. If we found one hookshot.
Oh, fair. Yeah. Forest is an interesting case because it is It is the Light Medallion, so it is a required dungeon. Plus, it is a dungeon that you are required to do no matter what. If you need to beat this dungeon, you need to do it fully. Like, you can't skip any checks. So dungeons like that. By the way, there's a hammer on that ferry. Dungeons like that you should prioritize those, obviously, because you hope to run into useful items there, so you can skip some checks in other dungeons.
But I mean, the convenient thing is most of our runners have hovers. I think Weighty Words is the only one without, if I'm reading this properly. So, you know, the possibility of 3-key forest definitely becomes something if, you know, Boss Key and everything want to cooperate and be nice with us. It's a fun trick to see in being used in that application when you know it's foolish.
True.
And I think that might be the first copy of Frogs 1 being dead that we've seen here in the maze.
Yep, that was the first copy of that of that hint. So well, Ethereum, if you have bomb shoes, you might as well use them.
Alright, Redead Grotto. This will be the lights for Mr. Carp. I'll be happy to find those.
Sure, and Zeph picking up his copy of Din's Fire. Or the one and only copy in his seat. And Strength 2 for Ethereum as well.
Does Carp already have 10 skulls? Wow, okay. I missed that.
Rush Skulls.
Oh, thank you, Moxie.
Hey.
Apparently, Weighty Words has 10 as well.
And is on the way to hand them in, it seems. But first, bow in hand, probably a good time. No, he doesn't have bow in hand yet. He's the only one who doesn't. Pardon me.
He did not get shoes from Richard, and did get shoes in bottom of the well, but hasn't been to Lost Woods with them yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Dat Losset, we do not have a hook shot to get past the invisible spike room. So we could do some of Shadow, but we cannot complete Shadow yet.
We know where to get what we need to complete Shadow, but, you know, there's, like, collecting 20 more spiders in between us and getting that.
And if one of the changes from, you know, league settings compared to this, just as far as, you know, the most recent competitive settings, we don't start with Ferrara's Wind or Lens. So double dipping a dungeon becomes even riskier. You can't just drop down FW and come back later.
Fire arrows for Zephyr here, and this Mr. Carp is now making his way around Hyrule Field.
If I'm Mr. Carp, I might have picked that up. You run it, like, your wallet's empty. Not that you need rupees for anything else, but you have the 20 when you get into GTG, or not GTG, get into the Carpenter room. But...
well, yeah, and you know horseback archery is nothing, so you don't need any more rupees beyond just the 20 to get in the door of GTG. But yeah, it does look like Mr. Carp is going to be the first into the Gerudo area.
I think the only other rupee spot would be the Hyrule Field Deku Scrub Grotto outside of Lake Hylia, if we haven't seen that yet. But that's only 10, so it's not a huge...
Yeah.
Oh, and he has Hammer for the Valley check. Nice. And it's a
And
big.
Kakariko
Ooh.
2 E-Builds Bane, you were right. Alright, that's our last path, and it is already resolved. There's a light arrows in there. And
There's
Hammerrock's Hats
FW.
for Roar's Wind. You spoke about that earlier. Super convenient to have that early. Carp might even decide,
Not
depending
go
on
bottom of the
depending on
well.
how he feels. Well, he's not. He might not, but other runners might decide, depending on how they feel. As soon as they pull a major item out of GTG to drop for Roar's Wind there. And Carp has now seen the other scale. Now you don't just drop for Roar's Wind in GTG now, because you have everything to do the checks in GTG, and you know its path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and key counting, with having strength 2, key counting becomes incredibly important to see what's in toilet, because it's not that, I mean, you have how many checks are in GTG? 18 or whatever?
23, of which 9 are keys.
So the chances of toilet being logically required are minimal, but not zero. We have not gotten a Haunted Wasteland hint, so we'll see Haunted Wasteland here too. Where's Sadie?
Or not, as Mr. Carp meets an untimely end.
Well, on purpose, death warping to get. Oh, Wasteland is a big.
Hello, and it's a hook shot.
Oh my gosh! No.
It is in logic as well, because that is a that is in logic because you have hover boots to get across the sand lake.
That is an amazing pull. And granted, like, all of our runners have Requiem. We started with it, so reversing is not a huge deal. You're going to come here with Dins anyways, because presumably you've done DC before. So a big find, but less impactful. I think Mr. Carp is going to be the only one really feeling that one, since they don't have magic yet.
Yeah, and this is actually it's not just in logic, it is hard hovers locked. You cannot get these, well, logically, it is hard hovers locked. It is logically hovers locked because you cannot get a hook shot without having hover boots here, or without collecting 30 skulls. That's slightly ridiculous. What a pull. So Mr. Carp is missing that. He will not be terribly bothered by it because he is, of course, able to hookshotless GTG. But damn, what a find.
Those hovers could prove big here if Top of Fortress has something as well, since Pierre is not free and nobody's gone Adult Lake yet, rightfully so. That is a trek and a half to get there. And it is a small chest.
Onji, no, KZ skip is not banned this season. It was not banned. It has not been banned since the season it was found. It was found during the middle of an OoT randomizer main tournament season. So for the remainder of that tournament, it was banned. It is not banned. It has not been banned ever since. All right, but I know you're memeing.
So is there anything that we would expect this to be outside of K-Sword?
Slingshot? Or something that gets you K-Sword? I mean...
Yeah.
The problem is we have a lot of items already, and we know where a bunch more are, so especially that hookshot, the second hookshot on 30 skulls. really opens up the world to us. We have the kit, or we know where the kit for Water Temple is. We have everything for Shadow Temple except a hook. Well, we now have a hookshot available to us, so that's no longer a concern. We can do Shadow Temple. Forest Temple is now within reach. So it really, I mean, it should be a Kokiri sword, as you said, because that's I think everything that stops us from completing this seed. This could be another sub 2, honestly.
I think the only thing that it could, the only other alternative is if it was Rudo's and K-Sword is Zora's Fountain / Ice. Or I guess technically Jabu. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Rudo's
would be a layer of indirection.
The only thing that you could...
Ooh, no. Carp is having trouble with finding the right location for that Wallmaster. So for those who don't know, what Carp is trying to do here is to... do what we call hookshotless GTG. Hookshotless because you don't need a hookshot if you get that Wallmaster to grab you and drag you through that last silver rupee underneath the hookshot target above your head, above Link's head. And I think just keep standing there, buddy. You're fine. Just keep standing there.
Oh, Stone of Agony.
Oh gosh darn it.
So the Hammer room in GTG had another bomb bag and Stone of Agony, but Hammer was bomb locked, so that second bomb bag is absolutely bomb locked.
Yep. It'll have to be bomb locked. So you will not be able to find any other bomb bag that is not bomb locked in some way in this game, just because of how the path logic works. Bomb bag is the only thing that can be pathed to King Dodongo if it's hinted as inside Dodongo's cavern, either directly or indirectly. Like that bomb bag is 100% without a question and without any doubt the path to King Dodongo. And there's your K-Sword. That's actually no mode for chat.
Yeah?
We know where everything is.
Does Netherian's bouncing?
I think he has the same. I mean, he has a hookshot already. He found the hookshot in Haunted Wasteland. All he's gonna do now is collect skulls. He's got a few dungeons to do.
He does not have irons yet, though.
He does have a gold scale, though.
But yeah, gold scale being... Did he pick up the other scale?
He knows where both of them are. I think he peeked the...
He peeked the Valley crate, but I don't know, and I'm sure he had to have picked up the other one.
He definitely has seen the gold scale on top of Dodongo's cavern. Like, there's no way you missed that. He was thinking for a moment, just to be sure.
There is a way you could miss it, but it would only be if you were strictly backwalking right into DC, and that is just a complete brain fart at that point.
So the only way this could still suck, and pardon my language here, but it would be that would make the seek suck a lot, is actually, as chat points out, if the water boss key is actually locked by Song of Time, this becomes a D. And you're looking for a lot more items then. Actually, are you looking for a lot more items? You have Strength 2, you can do Spirit, you have
Strength 2, we have Mirror.
You have Hammer, you can do Fire, you have Boomerang. All you would look for then still is Rudo's Letter. Well then. How does Bomb Choose not being in logic in asks Tekaipu in Cat? And the answer is basically Bomb Choose don't drop quote unquote naturally anywhere. So they don't just drop in tall grass, for example, or by destroying the pots. There are 5 bomb tube drops in the game that you can find. So basically these are randomized from the original item pool. So the original item pool has 5 different bomb chews that you can find on certain checks, and so these go in the randomizer pool. But since they don't drop from tall grass, for example, so there's no way to replenish them, they are not considered you having access to explosives. Because you can waste them all. And if you can waste them all and have no other explosives, then you are locked out of the seed, basically. If we were to consider them in logic.
And I mean, just a quick skull update. I think that was 20 for Netherian. Wadey just picked up, was that 10, I believe?
No, I think
Wadey
had already had 10, so this has to be closer to 20. Mr. Moxie says 15.
Zephyr was a little bit of a ways behind Skulls. I think they're sitting at about 10 or 11 right now. So, yeah, that long shot is going to be the... not hard, but the slow point for these runners, having to finish collecting the remaining skulls.
Yeah, so collecting skulls is the name of the game, but that is why Netherian has now made it to Forest Temple. So he is now just pushing dungeons, and collecting, and B, he's collecting skulls along the way. Forest Temple alone has 5 or 6. So you can grab those.
He'll end with 25. Theoretically, he's got the hook shot. You can go do Shadow, which has at least 2 easily, because you have Shadow Pot and you have Invisible Blade Room. And you have Sun Song, so Night SFM and some of those skulls can be really, really easy to pick up too.
Yeah, there's also if you want to get to 30 skulls, there's also a second pot room in Shadow, obviously near the end of Shadow, with the 3 spinning pots that'll get you another skull, and that gets you to 28. He'll be at 28. 29 is the canonical last in Kakariko, and I mean he has explosives, so you can just grab the one by the tree outside Kakariko to make it 30.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's your skull routing. And there's Weighty Words finding his bow. Finally.
All right.
He's probably thinking.
Did Zephyr?
Oh no! I think Mr. Carp just missed the Haunted Wasteland hook.
Well, Mr. Carp doesn't have magic, so he can't get it no matter what. But
yeah, but that's he's orphaned this check. Orphaning in this case just means he's in a place, or he has completely isolated this location. There's no convenient checks near it. So to get this one check, he will, for example, need to play Requiem and Reverse Wasteland to the monument in the middle of the wasteland. So that kind of sucks for him. I don't know when he goes back for that. That might just actually be a last location.
Zephyr did not reverse either, but we did see a successful... I don't even know what to call that skip. The Silver Rupee skip with the Floormaster.
That is hookshotless GTG is basically what the trick is called. But yeah, he got grabbed by the Wallmaster and pulled up through the Silver Rupee. So this seed is working out very well for Netherian. Really depends on if he actually routes this as we expect him to do. But he should have his gold scale within his sights, at least. I don't know if he has the gold scale, though. I'm gonna need to look at on his personal tracker here. He has silver scale.
Tracker doesn't show either scale.
I mean, our tracker says he has silver scale, and I do trust our trackers because, I mean, Netherian needs to play the video game as well as click the buttons on the tracker. So.
Actually, now that I think about it, if you find, just because Mr. Carp's here in Deku Tree, if you go, not that you want to age change, but if you go Forest to Deku, that'll easily get you to, I mean, Deku has what, 5? With 1 kind of out of the way. So you can get a
one
fair
in the
amount of
compass
gold.
room, one in no, two in the basement. Where are the other 2?
1 is in the... Oh, is it just 3? I thought it was 4. 2, 3. Maybe it is just 3. I thought there was more. Another
I don't know,
big
I'm
quest here in Deku.
Let's see, what bait shall Mr. Carp find? It is the Lens of Truth. I'm interested to see where that second magic is hanging out. By tradition, it would need to be on Bongo or something.
Fascinating that... Oh, happy 1 hour, by the way. We missed that. But nobody has found a bottle yet. Like, not a single one.
Ah, this is true. And it could be, interestingly, an entirely bottleless seed. Unless we need to go for Rudo's letter.
It'll be interesting, where you'll actually have to see spin strats or something on Ganondorf without a bottle. But... as I said, happy 1 hour, everybody. Big thank you to Tobias being both our restreamer and my fellow co-commentator here. And then our trackers, which I apologize, I do not have up at the moment, but I believe it is Mr. Moxie, Palm, Virgil Dante, and I'm going to butcher the name. Is it
Oralins.
Tracking for us behind the scenes.
I have been yelled at before, quote unquote, forever cursed to be called Aurelians. Nope, they're called Aurelians.
Aurelians, all right, good to know.
There's Kokiri's sword for Zephyr, and he is out. Actually, no, pulling out for Roar's Wind. It's fine. So Mr. Carp still collecting skulls dutifully. And that is him at
13.
13.
14,
Well, that's a waste to make up. That Haunted Wasteland hook is really, really gonna cost a bunch of people a bunch of qual points, honestly.
Yeah.
This is rude, honestly, and the fact that Netherian just looked into that, I mean...
And I don't see on Weighty Words if they have their hint tracker up at all, but the fact that we're doing Adult Spirit is kind of confusing to me when you have a GTG path.
This is true.
I mean, you have Mirror, you have Strength 2. I can understand the, like, compulsion or however you want to phrase it of, like, okay, they gave me everything to do it, and we get a key, so we're not locked out yet. But it could just be bait. Like, if you find Rudos or something of that nature here, that could...
I mean, or it could save your bacon if it turns out that your water boss key is, in fact, locked behind Song of Time. So this could turn the entire seed around if Weighty Words just finds Rudo's letter here, and it turns out that water boss key is actually in that one location that you can only reach with Song of Time. Well,
we're getting a lot of keys.
This is true. And Zeph is not reversing Haunted Wasteland, unfortunately, so he is not getting that hookshot anytime soon. And he did, in fact. He had the chance. He went to Colossus Ferry, and then decided to not push further. And there's gold gauntlets for Weighty Words. That's some bait. I mean, he knows he knows outside Ganon's castle is foolish, but Water Temple. No, not really. I mean, he'll push dungeons before ever actually setting foot in Ganon's castle. It is not required only, or as it's nowadays called, reachable locations. What was it called? Gosh darn it.
Beatable only.
Yeah, all right. It used to be called beatable only, and now it is called reachable locations required only. So required only in this case would mean the randomizer does not guarantee that you can actually reach every single check in the game, but it does guarantee that you can reach every single one that you need to actually beat the seed. So, for example, if Fire Temple, that's a classic example. If Fire Temple were a stone, there could be a hammer locked in Fire Temple. That just means your entire Fire Temple is forever off limits. That's your easy case of required only. Obviously, there are much more difficult cases logic-wise. Anyway, not happening this season. It is all locations reachable. And everyone's collecting skulls. Everyone's going for that hook shot. Zephyr is at 11 skulls now. Got a ways to make up here. Whereas Natherian is pushing 25. And that's double magic.
There's our second
not magic locked, actually.
The first magic
could save some people's games.
Well was nice.
Mm-hmm. Hey, apparently, Natherian has one of his sound effects bound to Talon's snore. What else do we get in Spirit Temple? There's a fairy slingshot for weighty words. Oh yeah, I mean, if as long as we're advertising stuff, or as long as we're talking about different settings, if you wanna, like, if you feel like randomizer, like just randomizing your game isn't enough for you, and you want to have a further challenge, there is Random Settings League, or RSL for short, which just stands for, we're not just going to randomize what's inside your game, we're also going to randomize the randomizer settings. So as you play, you get to figure out what in the world actually were those randomizer settings.
Well,
for example, it'll randomize your win conditions. It'll randomize entrance randomizer settings. It'll randomize things like all locations reachable or required only.
And there are beginner settings for RSL. I've done one beginner RSL seed that it limits how much it can randomize for you, which was a very good introductory, dipping your toes into the water, so to speak.
Absolutely. Their beginner RSL settings are kind of newish. They were spearheaded by a group of people. Gosh, I don't want to forget anyone, so all I'll say is I know TJ was involved, Tjonge from the community. I know there are other people involved though, and the beginner RSL settings are definitely worth considering if you're kind of if you're I'm not saying getting bored with normal randomizer, but if you kind of want to look for another challenge, those are exciting. Great fight against the Iron Knuckle by Weighty Words, by the way. All right. Natherian out here fighting Phantom Ganon, and Weighty Words finding yet more gold chest, and that's a prescription. I don't think we've ever actually seen a Bigoron hint this seed.
I'm pretty sure we got a Bigoron hint is dead.
All right.
Should see our first dip into Shadow here, but I mean, we're essentially in potential no mode. depending on what water has. So, and Bossage, to answer your question, irons were Hyrule Castle Fairy, so bottom locked.
Yeah. Castle Fairy is kind of out of the way, by the way. Even if Notherian doesn't run into the second gold scale, or for some reason missed that on the ledge in Gerudo Valley, at some point, before you probably commit to any stone dungeons, you're going to do what's known as child cleanup, where you basically take another turn through Child Hyrule and have a look around to see if there's any overworld checks, especially, or early dungeon checks in Child Dungeons that can help you with good. Wow, okay, there's your first bottle of the game. That can help you with the rest of your game. So it is very possible that Notherian would, if he ends up doing that, go towards either Hyrule Castle Fairy or the Gerudo Valley Ledge at that point.
Well, Notherian still only has, according to his tracker, only 4 of 5 hints. So going Child and going Castle, like, you could potentially do Hyrule Castle 1 and 2 to see if that 5th hint is anything worthwhile. But we know it's just Cack to Evil's Bane.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we can do chickens first. It's not much. It's, I think, 3 chickens, which is the correct number of chickens. I mean, the correct number of chickens is 0, but 3 chickens is a good alternative.
Doing this wall without any sort of hook for weighty words is just so annoying. It's not even that it's difficult, it's just
very, very annoying. You do need to time it right. Can't be climbing while the walls are moving, or rather, you can be climbing, but you must not be in between 2 wall segments. There you go. That's the first wall segment done for weighty words. Ooh, no, I don't think that's going to work out for him. Ooh, that might just work out. Nice.
Yeah, that stop in between was key. If he hadn't stopped and waited for it to move, he would have gotten thrown off.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, you can move Link's hitbox slightly further down on this wall if you hold Z while climbing. I've been told. But still, this wall without any hook is very annoying, I agree. And also, this means that weighty words will not be able to actually finish this dungeon. You'll get to melt the statue's face and then bugger off. Meanwhile, Notherian is chewing through dungeons. He is now making his way through Shadow Temple. Done with early Shadow, he's now in a spinning scythe room, finding his second key.
I mean, it's obviously things can change depending on where the water boss key is, but I mean, Notherian's at what, 23 skulls, 24 skulls, something like that. So should be first to get long shot as well. So we should find out whether or not it's AD here in the next 15, 20 minutes, I would assume.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess the only thing that could really delay it is if he decides to do Deku Tree.
Weighty words is reversing. So that'll get him his hook shot. Sorry for interrupting you there.
No, you're totally good. That is I was focused on Notherian. And I mean, that's... When you're running that and it's like, okay, my hook shot was just right here, and I, essentially full cleared Spirit outside of Child Spirit, like, it's a little bit deflating. Like, you're excited because you got an item, but at the same time, you're thinking, oh crap, who got this faster? Now,
The
You can do spirit, you can do forest, you can do so many things.
And Weighty Words is about to go, seriously? Yes, indeed. There's your first hook shot.
And not that we're expecting any finishers here in the next few minutes, but just as a reminder to everybody, if you are watching somebody else, please don't spoil it in chat. We'll have ZSR bot post everything for us shortly after.
Indeed. And yeah, Weighty Words just left, like, probably in the excitement of finding that hook shot, completely brain farted on the fact that he just killed a Skulltula and just left that token behind. It's like, wait a minute. But now he's committed to not getting that, so he'll be looking for other skull tokens. But yeah, it always feels bad when you know, oh, like he'll be thinking about that later on, and he'll feel a bit sad about the fact that, yeah, definitely could have gotten that token.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I'd rather leave a token than leave an item, but I think that was 26 for Netherian. Assuming you do Shadow Pot, that's 27. So, I mean, he is right there.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, we're getting some DLC here in Bottom of the Well from Mr. Carp, too, collecting skulls.
Yep. Some rooms you don't often see, but hey, if you have the keys and if you have the boomerang, get you those skulls. He knows he's behind on skulls, so he is definitely not leaving any of those behind anytime soon. There's Zeph grabbing another skull here to make it an even 23. Wow, he caught up quick.
Yeah, doing Deku, and I believe he did Night Cack as a child, so, you know, you're going to get those in rapid succession.
Oh, and unfortunately Zephyr just missed the entrance here, and will have to restart his climb of Zora's River. But that's fine. He knows he has some Sunsong. He's gonna get those Zora's River skulls here. Because I think that's exactly why he's making his way up here. That's a small key on the ledge of Gerudo Training Grounds outside the maze on the right side. Yep, Netherian definitely going for that. Can you grounds jump the invisible block in invisible spike room? So there were strategies that used to be race legal called hookshotless Shadow Temple. Those were banned a while ago. They are not race legal in standard rule set now. So no, there is no way, at least no race legal way, to make your way past the invisible spike room in Shadow Temple. By the way, Shadow is go-modable, and if you're a Chad, well, isn't Netherian gonna go for that? He is indeed. What a baller. He has a plan. This man knows exactly where the remainder of his skulls are. He knows exactly where his gold scale is. There's no other reason why he would skip all those checks. This is going to go very quickly for Netherian. This might actually, if this is not all dungeons for Water Temple boss key, this might be the quickest Seed of Qual so far.
Yeah, I mean, we have... Deku, which we can theoretically go mode. We have Dins, just drop and be done. Depending on where that boss key is, I mean, we might only have 20 minutes left for Netherian?
Just about.
Maybe 25?
Depends on water boss key location, honestly. If that is friendly, if that is just, I don't know, map chest or cracked wall or something, that might actually be a new personal best in terms of for an Etherean, in terms of the entire OTR category. Category reset or not, by the way. The water BK in Central Pillar would be the other thing that is troublesome for an Etherean here. So he has actually a 1 in 5 chance of being stuck in Water Temple and not being able to get that
and
get
none
that
of our runners
boss key.
Have the Zora tunic, and I mean, Weighty Words is the only one with 5 hearts. I think everyone else has 4. So Central Pillar could
just barely enough to make Central Pillar. You're not gonna, survive diving down there in terms of just you dive down there and you are able to pick up the items straight away. But you can peek it with that, and you can probably beat the shell blades and the spike balls, and will then be able to go back and get get the item on a second dive. As long as you have Iron Boots, which an Etherean doesn't have. So that's why I said he has a 1 in 5 chance of not being able to get Water Boss Key. For him, it's both. The river chest as well as the Central Pillar check that would immediately put a halt to, any dreams of making this his fastest seed ever. But still, that's an 80% chance he's just done. So I totally get why he's go-moding this. He's gambling. Like he knows he has 3 results that he can strike. Because you can if you do quals, you have to do a minimum of 5 and a maximum of 8 quals. And 3 of those results, like your best and your 2 and your 3 worst are stricken to calculate your qualifier score. So he's gambling on this one. The crouch step timing for Bongo Bongo is 150 BPM. If you hum supercalifragilisticexpialidocious at the right speed, that's fine.
Yeah, there's quite a few meme songs out there that all can do it, but is there any song that we really care about? This has to be
Gator Boy. The answer, for Bongo, the real deal, OG, greatest song to remember to actually get the timing for Bongo right is Skater Boy. But yeah, any song we care about? Not really, I think.
Well, it has to be Saria's, because we know Song of Time is OoT, we know Prelude is Burning Cack, and we know Bolero is in Ice. So it's going to be Saria's, which doesn't really get us a whole lot.
So Netherian is now going for Composer's Grave. That's interesting. Did he make an assumption there that he's now not following up on? Okay, he's updating his personal tracker. And welcome to Blondie Panda and friends.
I mean, BGS, if you're finished with Shadow, jumping down and just getting that quickly is not.
Yep.
Like, that's a worthwhile time investment. But I think we're gonna see Deku here. Get our 30 skulls, turn that in, and then go do water.
If he goes castle now, there's now a 90% chance that he's just done.
Well, our save quit is in...
Well, never mind that.
And thank you for the raid, Blondie. You've joined what has been an interesting seed where our first... I shouldn't say first logical hooks, but one of our logical hooks was on Haunted Wasteland, and the other is on 30 Skulls.
So Netherian just continues to route collecting skulls into his dungeon. Apparently I can't English today. Into his dungeon routing here. Never mind, we're go-moding Forest. This man has a plan.
Well, I mean, this will be...
About his remaining skulls.
He's at 27 or 28. Either way, you know, it's close enough that getting these skulls is a piece of cake. But get this. I guess the main question is...
He's at 28 now, so 29 out of Deku. Sorry.
Assuming that his scale that he has was top of DMT above Dodongo's Cavern. Like, gold scale was Valley. You're, like... Checking Valley again, if he didn't peak that already, is not something that you're realistically going to do.
I am 95% certain he's checked it. But he would not be go-moding both Shadow Temple and Deku Tree if he didn't have a plan for getting into Water Temple. So either he knows about the Iron Boots, which I don't think was hinted, or he knows about the gold scale. So I'm going to say he knows about the gold scale. We'll go Valley after this. Just straight across Hyrule Field. And then we'll head straight to Water Temple. After getting his long shot in Kakariko. Meanwhile, what are our other runners doing? Zephyr has already tracked his hookshot because of it.
And Zephyr does have irons, so doesn't have to worry about that if Central Pillar is something.
Still does need to worry about Song of Time. Apparently out of skull tracking, and there's Nathirian getting going to Graveyard. There is a skull right here. He's playing Song of Sun Song to get it. He just needs his boomerang for it. And then he's at 30. So that'll be a very quick collect skull, get Longshot, and hightail it to Temple of Time to then hike or ride across Hyrule Field to get to Water Temple. That's a blistering pace that Nathirian is laying down here, I'm not gonna lie.
And with Wadey now having that hook shot, we'll see him go into Shadow and complete that. But is there anything that he needs that he can't just go mode it as well? No, I think he just go mode it. He already has K-Sword and everything else.
Yeah. Wadey is, I think, in a 3-dungeon go mode. Well, unless, obviously. If Rudo's Letter is a thing that we need, they're all screwed if they go mode it. So like this is a gamble, which apparently Nathirian has taken. Why are we playing Requiem? Oh, he's a Foro's Wind in where?
Chat said he has it in GTG, so you're gonna play this, do FW to GTG, and then
not as a child.
Shot across. Oh, child. Interesting. Never mind.
Child spirit? ... question mark? I thought this was even hinted.
But there is a big chest on the right hand. Was that hinted claim check? I wonder if he's thinking that that is irons or something.
I mean, I can see him just doing Child Spirit just in case it's all dungeons. Like, you don't want to go back Child if you can avoid it. But you can't. You would have to go Jabu anyway.
Yeah, this is confusing.
Interesting choice. And Child Spirit is junk. Well, no, it's a big chest. Oh, okay.
And we never saw Wadey do Child Spirit, so this is the first look that we have at this chest. And we have a sling.
A fairy slingshot.
We also found in Deku Tree, which he go-moded, so nothing exciting there.
He's playing Requiem and safe warping, I assume? To get him outside. This is interesting. So we're seeing a triple shadow here. Under very similar circumstances for all three of the runners. All of them, besides Netherian, have 3 medallions. They all have the fire, water, and shadow medallion. And they all are basically lacking that hookshot from Haunted Wasteland. Where is this man headed?
You get Saria's from that prelude, so maybe just doing Skull Kid?
That was hinted. It's hinted dead.
Dancing Dad, maybe?
Netherian I think Netherian might not actually know where that gold scale is and might just be gambling. Or he's following up on... Like, he leaned in... Actually, what he's doing right now is leaning into the item he found in Child Spirit. Kind of that out-of-the-way slingshot, which, by the way, is not the only slingshot in Spirit. Well, he is doing child cleanup, so he is either finding those iron boots or those, or that gold scale eventually. But it is, I am assuming he is following some kind of link that hint that we have not been thinking about. So he has the 4 hints about GTG, DC, Sacred Forest Meadow, and London Wrench marked on his hint tracker. He does not have the Evil's Bane hint in Kakariko marked.
Unless,
but if you're doing,
maybe magic leads to Saria's, and he's chasing magic / Saria's checks, but then also you're in Childgorn City. Like, it's certainly an interesting play.
Yeah, but if you're doing child cleanup, eventually you're going to end up in Hyrule Castle Ferry, and that'll get him on board the jet again. Serenade, that's Budget Prelude. He has already done Lake, if I recall correctly. And we know Zora's Domain is hinted foolish. Apparently he hasn't done Lake yet. Oh, Alkaline Ace in chat with a good point. He might be following that London Wrench to Morpha by doing bomb-locked things, which will, in fact, lead him to the answer, which would be the Iron Boots in Hyrule Castle Ferry.
And somebody else mentioned it earlier. If that's the case, why did you skip back a Shadow? Because Din's is bomb-locked.
Gambling.
And you left those 3... yeah, absolute gambling, but it's just an interesting play that you're willing to take that chance and not do back a Shadow. Just... I mean, every runner has their own style. For me, that's a little bit too much of a gamble because you didn't pull the block back. So if it is that, like, that is a borderline DNF. Like, you're going to forfeit before you check back a Shadow, I think.
This is a really good question, but it's going to be an interesting interview with him, I think, because that is definitely something I'm going to ask him about. Waiting now at 25 tokens.
And on Carp's personal tracker, it says that he's at 30 as well. So it looks like all of our runners are going to be having their long shot here relatively soon.
Nah. Both Zephyr and Wadey, both Zephyr and Carp got the 30 skull hookshot as their first. They missed the
I
The hook
forgot
shot
that
in
Tarp
Haunted Wasteland.
didn't have magic when he reversed. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that is tough.
Oh, let's see what Ethereum does now. He's heading into Hyrule Castle. Is he heading into Temple of Time? Nope.
First?
We're going to Castle. We're doing Bombshoe Bowling first. We're doing child checks, so this won't be long, I think. Might have cost him the PB, but it's not going to cost him much in terms of qualifier points. You're about to see
our Hyrule Castle Ferry.
Arctic Kuma. Hyrule Castle Ferry. And then it's go, go, go mode for Nazirian. He hopes, because that'll be the 90% go mode.
Now, are there any good magic refills in water? I'm thinking strictly for just leaving FW there, because Natherian is essentially out of magic. Although this will fill your magic.
He has Serenade, he's fine. Also, this will fill his magic, you're right.
I was thinking more of dropping FW early in the boss room, the boss key room, before you start looking for boss key.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If that would be helpful. But yeah, that's what the Hyrule Castle Ferry does anyway. And he's out of there like a rocket, obviously. But if it's all dungeons, this is all for naught, because then obviously Rudo's letter might be very much in those checks Natherian skipped. He has skipped both of the checks in this room. Rady Words is likewise go-moding Shadow Temple. Has taken a slight bit longer to realize he has checked the chest with the Redits, but now he himself is also in go mode, or go moding this because yeah, that's kind of a gamble you have to take in a qualifier, I think. Right. Here goes Natherian into Water Temple. So we will know in 10 minutes at the latest whether or not this was a very Jedi seed if you played your cards right, or if there's 3 more dungeons to do.
And with water being essentially one of the last dungeons, like there's nothing in water that we need. I'm sure there is some logical way as far as what keys you would expect boss key on, because you know it can't be locked by certain other things, but like you're just hoping that it's early and not having to even if it was Dark Link Loop, like not that you necessarily want to go back there, you're just praying it's not on River.
You're basically praying to the Rando gods and anybody else who might listen that like 90% is enough chance for you. So let's see if 90% is enough of a chance.
Clean 1 cycle for Zephyr with BGS on, I almost said Morpha, on Bongo.
Yep. That went really quick.
What's interesting is Zephyr and Wadey entered at almost the same time. So, I mean, execution-wise, Zephyr has, that few seconds on Wadey, because they both essentially played or used Dins at the entrance at the same time.
Mulkey on cracked. Yep. So it's now 8 out of 9.
Oh no.
Oh dear.
Wow.
When he just took a death against Bongo in a situation where he does not have either for Roar's Wind or set or the block pushed, he gets to do the whole loop around Shadow Temple again. Natherian found another small key. That's now 7 out of 8.
Did we
Come on.
cracked wall?
Yeah, it's a small key. So that's Natherian's second small key.
And we are seeing back a shadow from Carp, so we'll see if there's anything worthwhile here.
The trap room was hinted, I think. Oh no, that was the last qual. So let's see if the manager has our answer. This is the sole invisible floor master in this game, in this temple. Sorry.
And it looks like a heart
That's
container.
a junk
nothing...
chest.
Oh, never mind.
Yep.
But yeah, nothing important.
All right, and I'm going to keep an eye on Ness' screen, obviously. So boss key loop wasn't the answer, I assume. Because he's back to 2 keys. Time for compass.
Well,
Ooh.
I think he's doing the eye switch chest, as it's called by a lot of trackers.
Mm-hmm. All right, junk on the push block. So we have seen 4 checks now. Now for compass. That'll be the 5th we see. You can roll peek this, actually. But it's just as quick to just hook shot up there. That's your 3rd key. It's now 4 out of 5. It's 80% still.
You have Dragon Chest, and you have Central Pillar. And Bosky Loop.
I think we've seen Bosky Loop, right?
No, he's doing Bosky right now, isn't he?
Ah, he's doing Bosky Loop right. No, you're right. Dragon, Central Pillar.
Are we
we are panicking slightly. It's a Bosky Loop, Central Pillar, Darklink. So that's the 3. That are left for and Dragon Chest. So again,
yeah,
like there's. It's a 4 out of 5 that Natherian can still get his boss key. And so Dragon, Central Pillar, Boss Key, or Darklink is the locations that Natherian is open for. He opens this door and he finds junk. A small key. Well, might as well be junk.
And Mr. Carp has a Clean Bongo fight, so another dungeon.
Very nice. All right, so Central Pillar, Darklink, or Dragon.
Oh,
none of these sounds appealing.
Terrible, with all of them doing Shadow right now, we're going to get a triple forest from all 3 of them, aren't we?
Honestly, I'm okay with that. Forest is at least, Forest is foolish, so this is going to be all about execution. We might see a 3-key Forest to save a bit of time from 1 or 2 of them. 3-key Forest can marginally save you time. It's not a lot, but if you execute it well, it can save you some.
At least Zephyr went water first.
Alright. Now there's Dragon Chest. Is this our answer?
Oh, and GG.
And there's Exodus with a
wow
time of 1:45:36 seconds. GG's. And that kind of answers that, because there's our boss key. Not all dungeons. And Natherian just breathes the biggest sigh of relief as he finds the boss key, returns to the warp point, and there we go. Holy not AD Batman. If you find that hookshot in Haunted Wasteland, and don't waste time in Child Spirit, that is just about the time I would expect you to get. So I think, besides Child Spirit, Natherian has routed this as efficiently as he could have.
Yeah, and I will say, for the other runners, I like the idea of going water before forest, because then you know whether or not it's AD. Because if you can complete water, you know, same thing that Netherian just figured out, you can breathe that sigh of relief and you're not hunting for Rudos or anything else.
Yeah. So, Netherian obviously now in go, go, go mode. And is just about... And there's Keedums with a second place finish. So, Exodus not the only one who found the jet entrance in this seed. Oh boy. Here come the Haunted Wasteland Rushers.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that, like, even if you had gone bottom of the well as child before you get your bomb bag, you weren't really punished because you'd get that magic early on and can reverse. And, you know, I think that's kind of what we're looking at for those runners here is, you know, maybe they didn't find bomb shoes on Richard, and, you know, those one-off little checks that can save you 30 seconds of time, and you get bailed out by finding those bomb shoes in bottom of the well. But this has been an interesting seed for item locations, to say the least.
And there's Rudo's letter on Light Arrow cutscene. You couldn't even get it before you went through Water Temple. What? Very much not AD. Oh boy.
Hold up.
There wasn't even a chance of this being all dungeons.
Is that the second qual in a row that Rudo's was on Light Arrows? Was it qual 1 or qual 2 that happened?
I don't recall, but, like, holy jet seed, Batman, this couldn't even have been all dungeons. Like, you couldn't do all dungeons if you tried. And Earl Weird says it was qual 1 that had that.
That is, like, a weird coincidence, but man, this is
yeah.
And maybe I didn't watch qual 2, and I know I watched qual 1 then because that, like, has IGC been an impact on any of these quals? Because it seems like even though, you know, Path Cryo should hint bridge conditions first, IGC in another seed is completely useless.
It's always going to be useless until it isn't. There are I've seen Season 8 seeds before that had useful items in IGC, but it is a gamble that you have to take. Ideally, you would want to go there at least having all the items to get at least all the checks outside of Light Trial. Or if you go there and have Strength 3, even better. But it is still like a time investment. It is between 5 and 8 minutes to do IGC.
Yeah. And there is going to be a sigh of relief for Mr. Carp here finding it.
Yeah. Wait, okay, so EXO just landed a new personal best for standard rule set, by the way. I mean, the rankings were reset semi-recently, but hot damn, that'll stand for a good time. Like, that'll stand for a while, that personal best. Sorry for interrupting you again. What were you saying?
I was asking why Zephyr was leaving Water Temple, and then I realized that he does not have long shot, so he is on a hunt for long shot. Same as
yes,
Mr.
I mean,
Carp.
he's in the right area. Now, Zeph is looking to find out if it's AD. Obviously, he's also still missing his long shot here, and he also has... Sorry, not Zeph. Mr. Carp is also still missing his long shot here, and is wondering where that might be. So he's hoping that it's just in Water Temple, because that can happen.
Long shot is Haunted Wasteland.
Yup. Gonna call that rude, honestly. And Netherian has a problem now because he doesn't have a bottle to fight Ganondorf, which he is clearly not used to. Dead Man's Tennis with a bottle is a lot easier than without.
found a second bottle. I believe Wadey has a bottle in Spirit Temple, if I recall. So there was another bottle available, but I mean, most runners aren't going to see that.
Yep. So that was a really, really good Ganondorf fight. Besides the being hit by the energy ball in the first round of Tenants, this was really clean. He got a good stun lock on Ganondorf and is now on to the final boss of the game, Ganon. Natherian looking at a 1:55 time. I'm thinking he will be quite happy with that.
Yeah, so Mr. Moxie in chat's asking if you can see when other people finish, and yes, you can. And in a seed like this, you absolutely can start metagaming a little bit. You know, if somebody finishes 1:45, you know for a fact it's not going to be all dungeons. So you know that, Water Boss Key is not going to be Song of Time locked and everything else. It does give you a little bit of information, but it can also be risky if, it's been 2.5 hours and you haven't seen a finisher yet. The question then becomes, what did I miss? What's that one check that, people aren't going to get? So seeing their times can be beneficial, but if you try to metagame it too much and start guessing, it can hurt things.
Yeah, metagaming as a way of making you punishing you for doing it. In this instance, you can definitely gain information from it. You definitely know it's not all dungeons, but that is just about all you can get from it. And now, Volk sniping Natherian for third place with a 1:53.22. But get your GGs in chat for both Volk and for Natherian, our first finisher on Restream, with an official finish time of 1 hour 54 minutes flat.
GG's, that was an impressive run. I mean, from Natherian's perspective, the only thing that you can really fix is, some of your child cleanup stuff that we had some questions on that we'll hopefully get some answers if he's willing to come in and do an interview.
We'll see. I've already reached out to him, and I hope he will join us, because this seat certainly is a lot to talk about. We are seeing, by the way, a few forfeits in the race room, unfortunately, now that it's clear that A, it's not all dungeons, and B, somebody has... people might feel like they have certainly missed something. And if you know that you clearly missed your entrance to the jet bridge, you might just decide to do something else with the rest of your evening. With that said, though, welcome in Natherian, and welcome. Holy shnikes, that was a seed.
Yeah, it was very jetty. Kind of
not only if you found the entrance to your jet bridge, I would say.
Yeah, it was a good seed. Kind of just walked into things, but you're kind of the seed kind of pushes you along the path. Like, you find the first hook shot, one of the hook shots, I guess, on the way to GTG, and then irons is the only thing that's probably gonna get people off, is because some people skip Hyrule Castle Ferry, so that'll probably get people for a bit. But you can skip a lot in this seed once you're in Irons mode, because it can't be in Shadow, can't be in Deku. There's so many places it can't be.
Yeah, there were a bunch. Why did you, by the way, decide to go mode Shadow and Deku? I did not quite catch, or we were kind of flummoxed by you go moding these two temples and then going back to doing checks. We thought for sure you had peaked the your gold scale earlier.
It's the way hints work in these settings. So since water is the Shadow Medallion, it's part of the bridge. So nothing that's hinted toward path to a non-bridge dungeon can be on the path toward Water Temple. So because K-Sword is path, like was hinted path, and Nocturne is hinted path, it means that like nothing in those two dungeons can be path toward Water Temple. So like, I guess I could have found Gold Scale in those, but like, why? Like that's kind of like why hunt for that? Because Gold Scale could just be in Ganon's castle.
It was in fact on the ledge in Gerudo Valley. That could have saved you maybe another 5 minutes, but oh well.
Yeah. I actually was gonna be going there pretty soon because after I was done with Child, my plan was to go back to GTG, clear that, and then check Valley, then go Spirit. So I guess I would have found that pretty quickly after, but like.
Yeah, we were assuming you were basically doing a child cleanup round and then going for density next.
Yeah, I was cleaning up Child, and I was gonna start doing Stone Dungeons until I ran out of things to do.
So, with water being your last dungeon, walk us through your mindset of not finding boss key in the first, like, 4 or 5 checks. How worried were you that it was all dungeons?
Yeah, I mean, it could have been, but, like, again, I wasn't too worried about, like, my checks I skipped, like in Deku and Nocturne, for the same reasoning. Like, if it's AD, then nothing behind there could have Rudos. That's all I was missing was just Rudos for AD. Like, if it's AD, sure, it takes another 20 minutes to do the seed, but, like, it's what it is sometimes, like... Thought maybe, but...
Yeah.
Ended not being
I'm looking... So, you said Shadow and Deku clearly couldn't be, so you couldn't be your item, so you go-moded those. Is there anything you think you could have improved on your routing there?
I mean... Not really, like, it's kind of a crapshoot, like, where irons can be, so... I think my decision to bail on GTG, like I found Flora's wins like right after, so it actually worked out. So I went back to put it there, but like that might have been a bit too aggressive. But like I don't know, that was like a. I think I was trying to figure out like where things were along like lines of the path. At first I thought it was hovers that was path to Shadow in SFM, but it's not because you need hovers to get the hook shot. So it's just hinting Nocturne, but like. There's a lot of weird things. I was trying to figure out like what's the best way to route it, like to be aggressive but not like too aggressive. So it's what it is.
And it's certainly interesting seeing a seed where you don't have a bottle to fight Ganondorf. That doesn't happen all that frequently. So seeing the spin strats and, minus the one small hiccup on that first part, like it was a very clean fight.
Yeah, and that person was just a bad input. Like, quick spins are not like the easiest thing to do. Yeah. I think it's the last thing on my mind. Like, I guess Exodus finished. What is that? No, nearly 10 minutes faster than me. I don't know what he skipped. I didn't, but because I played pretty aggressive, and he has 9.5 minutes on me.
Oh boy, top 10 all under 2 hours. My guess is that he probably found that gold scale when you didn't, and he just gambled on that as well. Or he found the iron boots earlier by just lucking into those bomb shoes a little bit earlier and doing that on your first go around in Child. That would probably save you some digging because like your entire go around basically saves you the entire second go around of Child if you just find those iron boots early.
Yeah, it's possible that they did Castle Fairy earlier too. It's one of those things probably.
Yeah. So either Gold Scale or Castle Fairy, and then you just gamble on being able to complete Water Temple, which still was an 80 to 90% chance, depending on whether you had Gold Scale or Iron Boots.
Yeah. And chat said that they just checked his VOD, and Exodus did have irons.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, so
yeah, I'm assuming they just did Castle Fairy in their Child 1 probably toward the end. Either that or just there's a lot of things could be, but yeah, it's just
that makes sense. Like if you get, assuming that you did bottom of the well, theoretically bombless. That first chest in bottom of the well has chews, and then you can use those chews to get in.
Oh yeah, I don't know. My strat for standard is to never open small round chests. Like unless I really need money for some reason. Like if there's chews there, I will. I just don't like. Maybe it's a calculated risk. I just don't think it's always that worth it to open brown chests for shoes. But that's just my opinion.
It really depends, but I still feel like if you don't have explosives yet, I think for a top, like if you're, it really depends on what you're going for. If you're going for just a top time, if you're going for like the blistering fastest time in a qual of 100 people, you got to take calculated risks, and that involves just not looking at brown chests at all sometimes. If you're just looking to play it reasonably safe, and end up solidly in the front half of the pack, I don't know. I think skipping them can really hurt you, because it robs you of the chance to go out of logic early on.
Yeah, and with
Yeah.
just talking about what's going on in Restream here, Zephyr dipping fire still can't find this long shot is
Unfortunate, yeah.
I assume they have the 30 skull one. They're just missing the one in Wasteland.
Yep.
It's correct. Both Zeth and Mr. Carp are missing their Wasteland longshot. Unfortunately, did not have magic when they made their way through Wasteland, and did not reverse later on. And thus, yeah,
That's gonna be a rough one.
yeah, they're missing out on that long shot, and like that might just be a literal last location for them. It is the definition of an out of the way check. By the way, just looking at the standings, which are now, by the way, updating live, OOTrandomizer.com/tournament/standings, they are jet mitigation really hit this seed. So the calculation formula for qualifier points has an element to it that mitigates very jetty seeds, in that it tries to give people who did not find that one item they needed to make it a jet a bit of a qualifier points boost. And so this means that for your blistering pace, your what was it, a 154 flat, which was a new personal best since the reset. You got, let me look that up. Qualifier number 3. It was a 990 exactly. EXO a 1061, Kedums a 1049. But only the first two finishers are above 1,000 points here. Basically, the jet mitigation will bunch the field a little bit closer together, mathematically in points calculation, to not overly punish folks who stick it out after they realize that, oh no, there were like 10 finishes sub 2 hours.
Well, and this is the second of 3 that have had that jet mitigation, because I think it was a qual 1 or one of the other ones had that as well, because that's actually the first time I had learned of it. So it's certainly interesting to see how the rest of these quals play out.
Yeah, I mean, the first couple quals I played had been pretty good. So, I mean, qual 1 didn't go over so great for me just because of things happen. So, but anyways, thanks for the restream. I gotta head out, but appreciate the restream, and yeah, thanks for watching.
Thank you so much for putting on a heck of a show, and have a great evening.
Yep, take care.
Thank you again, Nath.
Thanks again.
Bye. All right, yeah, so this was basically the entire top 10 in this qualifier ended up finishing this seed sub 2. That's ridiculous, honestly. So
it speaks volumes to the field that we're going to have, with now the tournament being top 32. I mean, those gambles that you take are like have to pay off in order to qualify into that top 32. And in this seed in particular, it really was magic that kind of locked things up. If you went bottom of the well, got magic, and was able to reverse, then you found your first hookshot, theoretically. If not, you're just on a wild goose chase searching everywhere around. So Salty Steve, it is top 32 this season. It got changed last season, was 64, and this season it is now 32. There is what is referred to as the Challenge Cup, which I believe is going to be the next 64 runners. But that is an entirely separate tournament.
That is correct. So, given that I somehow ended up organizing both of those tournaments, together with an amazing team of organizers in both cases, by the way, so it's not like I'm the only one. Challenge Cup will be placements 33 to through 96. So that'll be 64 runners in Challenge Cup who have the chance to compete in basically the next bracket down of the tournament, if you want to call it that. The Challenge Cup is obviously still a highly competitive, super well received tournament, I would say, and especially like just super well stocked in terms of just excellent runners. It is just comprised of those runners who just barely didn't make the qualifier cut.
Yeah, well,
down to people who might have competed in scrubs a season or two ago. So
I started watching last year's Challenge Cup finals-ish, like maybe semifinals. Like that's when I started really with this randomizer, so I am, still fairly new to this scene. But it was interesting hearing some of the lore about, so-and-so was a Child Cup, not finalist, but semi-finalist last year and now was in the top 64. There are quite a few runners that held that, or had that level of trajectory. Might have been scrubs 2 years before, Challenge Cup the following year, and then top 64 the following year. So it's going to be interesting to see, who the top 32 runners are this year, and also the next 64 for Challenge Cup.
Going to be a highly, highly competitive environment in any case. I'm really looking forward to it. So top 32 is going to be a double elimination tournament. So if you not win your race or a race, if you lose out on a race, that's not the end of the tournament for you. And there is Zephyr finding the long shot in Haunted Wasteland and just going what? And he has decided to forfeit this one because he is very angry at OoT Randomizer right now. Little does he know that in fact, he would have a 2-dungeon go mode here. Understandable forfeit.
While we have Forrest going on, we missed it because we're in the interview, but happy 2 hours, everybody.
Indeed. All right.
Huge shout out to Tobias for both restreaming and commentating this. This entire stream could not be possible without him. But behind the scenes, I'm going to let you pronounce their name because I'm going to get it wrong again. But we have Virgil Dante, Mr. Moxie, Palm, and Tobias can speak the fourth.
Aurelins, and also thank you, of course, to the inimitable. I promise I can pronounce his words sometimes. Bones73 filling in on very short notice today because unfortunately another commentator had to drop out due to a power loss. So that is awesome that you were able to make that happen, and this restream certainly couldn't have happened without you. And with that, I think I'm going to do some behind-the-scenes magic and see if we can swap to the 2-player layout here. Give me a second. This is a delicate operation.
Well, and I can fill in comms while we're waiting, because, we have weighty words that is essentially in go mode as well. It's Salty Steve. Long shot was Haunted Wasteland, and the other one was 30 Skulls. 30 Skull one is hinted in the Skull House if you're new to this tournament. 30, 40, and 50 are on the skulls. 20 can be a sometimes hint, but I don't believe we saw it in this seed, and then 10 skulls is just another check.
Now I just need to reload the layout. Hopefully.
And I mean, Wadey knows that it's not all dungeons based on time, but still feels good to find that boss key and get things moving along. Go beat Morpha. Sorry, push to talk fell off there. Apologies for anyone listening if you heard me talking to my toddler or my toddler in the background. She was supposed to nap and did not nap during all of this, so it's been a fun challenge trying to do this with a 4-year-old.
Oh well. That happens. Family comes first, and hey, I'm glad he's hopefully enjoying the Uter content too. So let's see. That layout looks almost right.
It depends on how she feels sometimes, but it is funny trying to get her to understand some things about Zelda. Ooh, another 7-second finish between Garen and Marco. That's a close one.
We are seeing a bunch of snipes. So Ryukane was just recently sniped by, let's see. Ryukane sniped Balbu, one of my fellow co-organizers of the main tournament, by just a single second. Literal photo finish here. And since luckily since qualifiers are beyond the top 7, only timed on finish time, we should be all right. And that shouldn't affect the qualifier.
Snipe between
oh my goodness!
Tanjo.
Alpha finishing in 22nd with a 2:13.20, and Tanjo just behind him with a 2:13.21. Another 1 second snipe. Good gravy. All right.
I mean, we kind of knew that it was going to be in bunches here, just depending, but that is that's impressive. And GG Zephyr, no need for apologies. That was a rough spot for Hookshot.
Yeah, honestly, Zeph, I understand. Given your job, I know that you were indubitably very mad about missing the entrance to the jet bridge. So, yeah, that happens. Man, I'm not mad. Sometimes it do be like that, and I hope the other quals treat you better.
All right, now this is interesting. I have recognized most of the names that have appeared, except for LDK7. Do you know anything about them?
Actually, I do not. So I'm going to have to look through their race time history to see what kinds of games they play. Apparently, played in the 3rd Mixed Pools tournament together with, actually beat some pretty well-known runners here. For example, beat Link Hylian, beat Incoherent.
Those are some wins.
Indeed. So that also played in some. Whoop.
Well, in multi-world could be a big thing just for, reading the logic and everything, because your hints in multi-world, which is a completely different mode, can hint to other people's, because you're playing with, in the tournament, you're playing with set team sizes, but you can do a multi-world of any size, but you can get, your forest temple hints another player's path. And so reading logic there can definitely be a bit more challenging. So that doesn't make sense, or that definitely makes sense on why they would have a good finish coming over to these types of settings. And GG's to Chuckles, finishing with a time of 2:15.56.
GG's, yeah. So this is the top 25 of the race already done. So amazing. And there's Bonnaroo finishing in 26th with a 2:16.18. You can just tell how quick this seed was able to be played when you see that like we are almost to 30 finishers, and we are not even to 2 hours and 30 minutes of seed time. Well, and here's the problem for. Oh, it looks like Carp might be out of checks, because this is him playing Requiem. So he might either finish Spirit Temple, or nope, he's reversing and equipping Din's Fire. So there's no doubt as to what his plan is here. He's about to find his long shot as well.
Welcome in, Sir NyQuil. Thank you for the raid.
Welcome in, NyQuil. Yep. And well, he's planning on reversing anyway. Carp is because he has Din's Fire equipped. So we'll see if that is actually what he's ending up doing. Yep. First hookshot is 30. Second hookshot is Haunted Wasteland. So logically, I think your first hookshot is on 30, but yeah, Wasteland is actually equally available with the hover boots. So the hover boots were chilling on. Where were the hover boots chilling?
Those were SFM Grotto.
All right, SFM Grotto, Wolfos.
And they were hinted
because there was one path item for
path, but
yeah. I mean, you thought there was one path item for Bongo in SFM. Think again. Welcome in, Trez. What's going on?
Did summon Trez, so we can blame Jimbo as usual. Hashtag blame Jimbo.
And apparently Trez can't right now, so I guess he's getting refunded. And sure, looks like Weighty Words might be finishing in a top 30 here.
We do love Jimbo. When I say that, I don't mean that in a bad way. Jimbo is fantastic. I think the only thing wrong with Jimbo is that they are a Flyers fan.
Well, and there's Mr. Carp with the long shot. And just stoically keeping going.
So, Master Alex, we know that we had a SFM to Bongo Bongo hint, but because hovers were logically required to cross Wasteland to get that hook shot for water being a bridge, we know that SFM has to be the path hint in that scenario, because otherwise you would have SFM path to Morpha to get that. How is 145 humanly possible? It's
basically Netherian showed you everything. So basically Netherian showed you everything that you needed to do for a 145, except finding the iron boots or gold scale early, which we assume Exodus just did, and just saving the 10 minutes on, digging around Child Hyrule for a little bit to find those. If you run into those iron boots early by, for example, having some bomb chews before you go adult again, like doing Hyrule Castle Ferry in your first child phase, then I can very much see 145 being possible.
All right.
Trackers are broken. Oh, I apologize
for weighty words.
Yeah, so trackers are a bit broken because I cannot regenerate them after swapping layouts here, but GG's to Weighty Words.
Right.
Oh no! Brot in der Dose sniping Weighty Words for 30th place by 3 seconds here. Weighty just finishing in outside the top 30 here.
Oh man, that is. I mean, you're happy to finish, but at the same time, like that is just it's. You can't help but laugh in scenarios like that. It's like, man, really?
All right. Let's see if Wadey wants to join us for an interview. And other than that, what a race.
So the other hook shot was Haunted Wasteland. And so the idea of like how can runners do 145? We saw it on here for Netherian, but for other runners the assumption's probably the same, that you get storms in Lon Lon Ranch, you already have ZL, and then you get magic. You start with Requiem and you basically do DC, get that Dins, reverse, and you get that first hook shot, relatively early. That's how Netherian did it. I assume that's how Exodus and other runners did it as well. But that magic in Bottom of the Well and Dins in DC made a big difference.
Yeah.
And Terranort Iron Boots are Hyrule Castle Fairy. However, weren't necessarily required because one scale was on top of Dodongo's Cavern, so you're going to get that freely. The other one was Gerudo Valley Crate, which admittedly could be a little bit trickier because not everybody's going to rush Valley. But depending on how your routing went, Hyrule Castle is not a check that you normally route in either, so whether you gold scaled or ironed water is completely possible.
Basically that. So, by the way, just because trackers are broken, to clarify, Mr. Carp has all his medallions, all his all the items he needed. The long shot was the last thing he did need for completing this. So let's cheer him across the finish line before we wrap up this restream. Oh boy.
Now the only real question is who's gonna snipe Mr. Carp, because that's been the theme.
Ooh, rude. Come on.
I mean, we have had, I think we're at 3 or 4 3-second snipes so far, which, I mean, when we have 75 runners, it's bound to happen at some point, but just the frequency it's happened early on is a little comical.
Yeah, it is. So let's see. But even like last finisher on Restream before the 2:30 mark. Do I need to say anything more about the seed?
It's impressive. Like, it's... The path hints weren't the most beneficial. Like, SFM just being Nocturne. The Dodongo's Cavern hint is nice because you know that strength. You know you're going to find your bomb bag there. But no real long path chains. The Lon Lon Ranch one's a little bit interesting as far as like strength to get bombs, I assume, but could even be storms to get magic. There's not one answer for everything.
There isn't. It's. I mean, the seed had several places that could trip you up. The biggest certainly was the hookshot in Haunted Wasteland, but I've also seen in the results discussion channels around the internet, I've already seen people ask where the heck was my bow. So plenty of people apparently were unlucky enough to miss that bomb-locked bow in Kokiri, in Lost Woods.
Lost Woods, yeah. Did we find another bow anywhere? I don't believe so.
I think there was one, but I think it was bow-locked, actually.
First chest in Fire Temple. Now, Wayfaring, are we saying next to the boss key door, or are we saying in the first hammer chest? Next to boss key door. All right. Well, let's get our GGs in chat ready for Mr. Carp. Finishing with a time of...
And it looks like it is a
227.08.
227.08, and that is still a new personal best for the standard rule set after category reset for Mr. Carp. And category reset was a while ago, and of course there was a, well, call it a snipe, 226.30 to Tensai to Mr. Carp's 227.08. Maybe not a snipe per se. Let's go to the interview scene. Let's see if Mr. Carp wants to join us for an interview. I'll ping him real quick. Other than that, what else can I say about this race? This had a lot. It was a 30 skull seed. All right, cool. Mr. Carp is joining us for an interview, so let's see about that. Just need to post him a link. And then we should be 30 Skull Jet. Yeah, 30 Skull Jet, that is basically it. That is what happened here. So hey, Mr. Carp, how do you feel about this?
I feel like I
GGs
should have
indeed.
just gone well. It should have just gone well when I thought, oh, maybe it's Storm, so let's go well. Because then Magic, and then you just get Hook on the way, then you can do Forest early, do Shadow early, get all the skulls, finish early. Smiles all around. But nope, I went on Boomerang Hunt for days. And then nothing was in Shadow. And then I was just crying. I was like, oh my god. And then I saw the finish at 145 and holy moly. It must have been all the way. So when I finished Forest, I went, I'm just going to go back the way that I came with the little checks that I could have got, the things I got late. So that was the hammer in DMC and then the magic in Wasteland. I was like, okay, fair enough. So yeah, that was the seed. Just get magic and well, and then win.
Yeah, it was certainly interesting, particularly with like Rudo's being on Light Arrow's cutscene, like never having to dip ice. GTG, like theoretically was just K-Sword, but obviously you're gonna full clear that. I mean, on Restream here, we were all wondering whether or not it was gonna be all dungeons if the boss key was behind Song of Time, but
it was getting close.
Yeah.
I was worried that it was AD for Toilet for the longest time, which is why I full cleared.
That was also very possible. We theory crafted that early on because you know how Restream chat gets, but yeah, this is a 30 skull jet, the jettiest jet of all times, and it was 30 skulls to get your hook shot.
I figured the only way that anyone finishes sub 2 is that they find a hook on the way.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was unfortunate placement as far as, you know, your routing of things. You know, like you said, go bottom of the well, get magic, and it becomes a much different seed as far as how you can route this.
Yeah, and also there's just if you have Requiem as early as you do in this seed, it is really tempting to just go, what are the odds for that one check in Haunted Wasteland that is call it a 3 minute time investment just for that one chest. So I can totally see everyone who especially when you had Epona, when you had Requiem, who basically said, nah, I don't really need to worry about Haunted Wasteland.
I felt kind of bad at the beginning because I was like, oh, let's scum these shoes. And I just kept finding items behind shoes. I was like, oh, maybe I need that. Okay, well, I can't scum it. Oh, look, another item. Okay. And I was like, oh, no, what if I need Mirror's Field for AD? So
Yeah, I can't really toss that away either.
Yeah, finding strength 2 and mirror and boomerang being relatively early, like the fear of AD was certainly present in this seed. With how, and hammer for that matter, because I forget where hammer was. It won one of the
stop a DMT.
categories.
Yeah.
That was certainly a thing.
Yeah, that was alright. I mean, fair play. If you do Wasteland early, you win. You can't really complain.
Yeah, it's all I can say is GTs also for finishing. I think I mean, let's be honest. Zeph, the other runner on Restream, decided after finding that Longshot just a few minutes ahead of you that he was mad enough at the seed, justifiably so, to just not. So
Well, I figured scoring's better than not scoring. Even if it's terrible. What happens with a jet like this in terms of scoring?
There is jet mitigation in the scoring system. So basically, there is some consideration to jets in this. It'll basically be the field will be bunched slightly closer together mathematically. Finishing timetable right now. And there were only two 1,000 plus points finishes this race. The Natherian, the first finisher on Restream, scored a 990. Still awesome score, obviously, but that'll be like because of how fast this seed was. There's a like the jet mitigation math works out to it kind of saying, okay, the average seed finish time will be just about 2:30, and the average gamble finish time is about 1:40. Well, and it kind of mitigates that by subtracting your average finish time from of the first 7 finishers from this 2:30 and dividing it by 140. Dividing by 230 minus 140 to kind of get a bit of an understanding of how jetty was this seed and how well do we want to reward people for still finishing when they realize they missed their entrance to the jet bridge. So 2:30 is the estimated average-ish finish time of your seed, and 1:40 is the estimated average gamble time. And I mean, jet mitigations really hit hard today. All like the top 10 all finished sub 2 hours, so this kind of cost them a few points, but gave a few extra points to everyone who finished the race at all, basically.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, thanks for that. I'm off, but thanks for Restream. I'll see you later.
Thank you so much for joining us for an interview. Thank you for putting on a heck of a show, and we'll see you soon.
Ciao.
Bye. And with that, that's a wrap for this restream of the OoT Randomizer Standard Tournament Season 8 Qualifier number 3. So, 17 more qualifiers left to go until we have our final standings. That'll be that. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, of course, to our volunteers who made this restream happen. Thank you to our tracking team, Palm, Aurelins, Mr. Moxie, and Virgil Dante. Thank you to Bones73 jumping in on commentary on very short notice. And I've been Tobias, your restreamer and co-commentator. Been a pleasure having you. I'll rate you over to Marine Mammal Rescue. I think some cute otters and other assorted cute animals can't hurt. So that's the end of this restream. We'll see you soon here on Zelda Speedruns. In fact, in about 20 to 30 minutes, we'll be back live with some Wind Waker Randomizer content. It'll be Wind Waker Randomizer Season 7 Grand Finals! Rick Schmitty versus KitKat. So don't miss that. We'll see you soon.